getting here today. But hello, welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Nika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft-related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And get that going. Today we are going to talk about The Modern Girl's Guide to Magic, a magical romantic comedy, Charming Cove, Book 1 series. And I will tell you right now, this book is charming. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's charming. I, spoiler, enjoyed this book like a lot. Let me show you the cover. I was having a hard time getting it pulled up, but yeah, this is it. I read it on my Kindle. It's with my iPad, my Kindle, but this is the book. It's by Lindsay Hall. Clearly I got it from Amazon. The link's in the description. But one of the best things about this book was that, I don't know, it felt like an easy read. It felt like a good late summer read, if that makes any sense. The book is based in the summertime, the season that everything's taking place in, so it kind of made sense. I've been looking for, cozy, oh, I didn't mean to click on that. Cozy books for the summer. Ooh, yeah, there we go. Cozy books for the summer. And this is one of them. I have two other books. I'm reading one. I thought it was going to be done along with this one and have two book reviews this weekend, but that's not the case. I am still finishing reading the other one. I think it's Salix Point. Can't remember the name of it. And then there's another one right after this one that I've kind of peeked into, or at least on page 1. I do this all the time. I read usually one fiction book and nonfiction books, but I'm on a binge lately. Anyway, hi Olivia. Yeah, thank Olivia. The book, yes, the book that you suggested to me. I realized one, I read that book. So I'm reading book 2, and I absolutely love this book. I cannot tell you, I love it, and I will talk about that. Before I talk about it, because I'm on book 2 and I read book 1 a while ago, I'm gonna skim through book 1 again so I can talk more about the series. And is there a third? I don't know, I'll get to it, but I'll probably talk about that as like a series because I love that series, I love that book. But anyway, moving on. This one is one of my favorite. Let me tell you, the couple things that made this a really good book. The pacing. It never felt too slow. It never felt like it was waning. I didn't feel like we got to blah spots where, like, what can we get to the good part? Can we get to what's going on? There was tension, sexual tension, romantic. Will they? Won't they? To me, the author, the pacing was like, oh, chef's kiss. She did it in a way, it was so a delicate, fine-tuned balance that if you're just reading and absorbing, you don't pick up on it. But as someone who wants to be able to do something like this level of pacing, I found this inspiring. I'll use this sort of in decode a little bit on like writing styles because I love the way that Lindsay Hall presented this. So she did it in a way that I never felt. There was curiosity about, oh, and then what? Like as you're flipping through the pages, and oh, and what's gonna happen next? And oh, okay. But it was never a thing of like, oh my God, would you just get to the point already? So the story is told from 2 different points of view. The romantic interest and the main character. So we have Callan is the male, and then Aria, A-R-I-A. I've been saying Aria. Is it Araya? I'm thinking it's Aria. Anyway, Aria. Aria is a witch who she was kind of an outcast. Okay, first off, it has a magical community already built into the world, the world of the book. So there's already a magical everything. So she's not coming into something. It's not that I don't like those books. It's just that I get bored with those books all the time. So the main character, Aria, already knows about magic. It already exists. There is no going through that phase. The problem is that she is a witch who hasn't been in touch with her magic because she thought she was what, as not affectionately, the people in the town she grew up in called her a dud. because where they could just move something, and have telekinesis and do things, she couldn't. If she attempted, things will blow up. It will be disastrous. So she ended up moving away. So this is happening it's somewhere in like the United Kingdom, because she goes to London, the big city, and she lives there for some years as a young woman. Um, there were some other things that tied her to the and get spoilers, but not too much. I'll try not to give too much of it away. But there was the romantic interest, Callan. They had a run-in back when she was 17 years of age. Bless this woman, Lindsay Hall. I am Frisco, because she managed to, and I have a lot to say about this book, but I just want to say this. She addressed the fact that when Callan and Arya met, he would have been like 22, I think it said 22, 23, and she was 17 years old. So, once upon a time, we would have read books like that, and nobody would have batted an eye about the fact that she was 17 years of age, except it was acknowledged in the book that she was too young. We were getting it from his point of view, so we know he's saying she's beautiful, he's attracted to her, but he knows she is only 17 years old. That's it. Now, they had some kind of a ruckus between them that would last all the way years later until they see each other again, which is sort of the main premise of this book. But I just wanted to mention, I appreciate it being acknowledged. Was he attracted to the 17-year-old young lady? Yes, he didn't know she was 17 upon meeting her. But when he sees her, it's like, no, can't do that. I'm very happy that that was the outcome. There were some tender moments shared between them, but he knew, right is right, she's too young. But he never thought, she was always someone who was with him. He always thought about her. So fast forward many years later, I think at this point the main character is like 27-ish, 26, 27, I think. She is now living in London, and she is a disaster there. Whenever her magic seeps out, she is a disaster. She can't keep a job. When we meet Arya, she is, or Arya, I don't know, we're gonna interchange that now. When we meet her, she's already having a disastrous day at work, and she gets fired, and she keeps getting fired from job to job. So, and she's getting evicted because one of the jobs that she had was tied to where she lives. So she's getting evicted, and she's like, what am I gonna do? She's surrounded by a bunch of houseplants. Ding, 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 that already got me going right there. I'm thinking, oh, she's into plants, houseplants, awesome. So there's that. There's some things that happen, and she basically finds that she has a familiar. And the thing in this story, in this world, to have a familiar as a witch, not every witch has a familiar, only the very powerful do. I like that, by the way. That's something I could get with, but she doesn't have, she hadn't had one. Now, she's just like a 20-something-year-old young lady, and she still hadn't had a familiar, but she gets one. So that's that. And then come to find out, her familiar was also working sort of as a double agent, because her grandmother put her badger, familiar is a badger, in London. Anyway, think about that. They never in her house, just outside. It lived like amongst the trash that she would have to walk by, but she could communicate with it. Anyway, so the badger also worked as a spy for her grandmother, her loving grandmother, who cared about her, who was back in that little tiny magical village. Now, London itself is not magical in this story. It's simply this other place exists, but since it is magic, the muggles, the humans, can't really see it. Like, they wouldn't know to turn down the street because they would never see it. It's cloaked in a matter of way. But parts of it they can see. They're aware of, and they just know it's always sunnier. The weather is always a little nicer in that section of, out in the countryside where it is. Because a lot of, you can tell, they have land, the way they talk about it, everybody has some sort of garden. It's magical, it's beautiful, it's what you would think. thatched rooftops, the whole nine. My heart. Anyway, um, so I like stuff like that. And yeah, so she comes back to her little town. Her grandmother comes picks her up. Like she doesn't have many options because she's getting evicted. So she goes back, her grandmother and the badger and all her plants, and she goes back to this little town. And her grandmother is like, "You have to come because you have to save us. We're gonna lose business." And come to find out, there's this competition. So this whole thing, so I led you up to this point. At no point am I bored in the beginning of this book. Kind of, it just picks up and the pacing is perfect. So we find out there's a competition, a magical competition. I cannot express to you, I love when they get it right. When they're talking about plant magic, when they're talking about things that I've never heard of, the way they describe it, and just like the way that magical systems work in this book world is just, it's wonderful. It's, you can understand it, it feels relatable, even though it's all made up. But is it magic all just made up anyway? But it feels relatable, like you can connect with it. And yeah, so Arya is thrown into this situation. Mind you, her magic has been wonky her entire existence. How is she going to win a magical competition? She doesn't get it. Her grandmother is like, "Look, I consulted with my sources. You're going to get it. You just do it." She's like, "Your sources?" Because she's like, putting her nose down to whatever crystal ball or tea leaves her grandmother read to divine that this person with not enough power or no way of understanding what little power that she has, where she doesn't blow things up, how she can win this magical competition to add more complexity to her already bigger issue of, well, her grandmother, and then come to find out her old best friend is there, and there's some other casting characters. They're all like, "You got it. We support you. You can do this." She finds out her competition is the guy, Callan, from all those years ago, who she thought she told something very intimate about a specific place in that same little town. He wasn't from there, he was just visiting. Come to find out, he was in real estate, commercial real estate and development, and built right over the space that was dear to her heart. I won't give that away because there's something, there's more to that in the book. There's a lot more nuance to that. But it was a big deal. So a lot was to be worked out about that whole situation, but just know that her doing that, like him doing that, really, it hurt her because she felt like it was personal. This is a younger woman at the time. She's like 17, as I mentioned, or at this point she's a little older than that because he came back and they're doing development, breaking ground and all this sort of stuff. She's devastated that they built this space up in this place that she told him was so important. And he had his own demons that he was working through on why he was so relentless about building all these places and doing things. He had something to prove as well with his people. And put this back on. It's funny. There's some heart to it. I love the way the characters communicate and how they talk. I love that it's not too cheesy. I love that it's not overt. There's a balance with that when you're writing. You don't want to gum it up too much with like too many what's the word I'm looking for, like slang and stuff like that, because that dates the book. You also want to make it relevant and of the times, so there's a balance with that, with how they discuss, how they talk to each other. Also, we're an American audience reading this, so there are some things that I can tell it felt British-like, just a tiny bit, but not a lot. Like for instance, when they talk about the trunk of the car, they call it the boot, but they're over there, so that makes sense. But we know this at this point. Most of us know that they refer to the trunk of the car as the boot, stuff like that. But outside of that, when they talked about potions and what went into potions, and I love how they taught, like in this magical system that they created, the magical potions, like they needed time, just like our magical potions may need some time to steep or to cook. for the essence of everything to intermingle and become something else. So that's something that happens in this magical system as well. I cannot express to you how much I love stuff like that. Is I don't read a lot of fantasy because I don't really like fantasy work. It's not my favorite. This is my jam right here. I like a little bit of the romance. Let's get into the romance. So it's not. It's definitely adult, but it's not too spicy. Okay, you could enjoy this. It's just enough. It takes you to the point on some of the descriptions. So I decided I wanted to read a little bit so you can understand some couple things, so you know exactly what I was talking about. I mean, let's see if we can get to this. Let's see, shall we? And that's the bookmark. Oh, great. Okay. Because I was switching between my iPad and my Kindle. Nope. It did not save it here. First of all, I didn't know that didn't happen like that. Well, that's a bummer. I thought, don't worry about it. But I have the Kindle app on my iPad, and I have an actual Kindle. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, it'll save my bookmarks that I've been doing. Nope, it did not. It in fact did not. So let me see. I think I want to get to that section because I wanted to tell you just like how cute it was. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. So a reading, if you will, from this book. Okay. I unbuckled, so, it starts off. This is from Calvin's point of view, so this is interesting from the guy's point of view. I rose over her and yanked the shirt over my head. The appreciation in her eyes made me grateful for all the hours in the gym. Now the trousers, she pointed to them. Trousers instead of pants, there we go. I unbuckled them quickly, shucking them off along with my underwear and boots. When I was finally naked in the moonlight, she stared up at me, a smile stretching across her lips. She rose to her knees and pulled her dress over her head. I did not know where that sentence was going when I was reading this. Beneath, she wore pale blue underwear and a matching bra. The sight of her took my breath away. Pause. Did you know there's this whole thing that, like, in the fiction world, this whole matching underwear situation is like a thing? I don't know if you know this. I move in different circles. But the matching underwear is like a thing for some reason with the men. I don't know. And I'm just like, in all my life of being a woman and ever undressing, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not that big of a deal. They're trying to get to what's going on underneath all that stuff, but I'll move on. But that's cute. Beneath, okay, so anyway, Aria, my voice was a little grown. You're going to kill me. She pulled off her bra and reached for me. I went to my knees like a sinner in church, reaching for her. Her skin was soft as silk beneath my palms, and I ran my hands up and down her sides before pulling her close. She kissed me with a passion that made my head spin. Then, pushed me to my back. She pressed her fingertips to her underwear and they disappeared. A brilliant smile swept across her face. I can't believe I did that with my magic. So at this point, there's something that occurs. She finally gets some help, and the magic comes out of her in a way that she can control. So it goes on, and it really wraps up, this whole love scene wraps up with, like, it says here, you look amazing. I gripped her hips and helped her find a rhythm, and you feel even better. She laughed, pure joy in the sound, and found her pleasure in my body. I followed her, the orgasm spreading through me like golden light. When it was over, she curled up against my side. That was incredible. It was more than that. She smiled and looked up at me. She was so beautiful that it defied words. But then her expression changed. A frown crossed her face and she sat up. We shouldn't have done that. She grabbed her dress and pulled it over her head, then shoved her underwear in a pocket. We're competing against each other. It's fine. This doesn't have to affect that. Sure. She laughed as if I was crazy. I need to stay focused. I'll see you later. She was gone before I could say a word. And that wraps up the one and only love scene. There's like um, this little cute moment prior to then, but nothing comes out of that. Never gets this. But this is his hot. I just basically gave you the hot and heavy part of the whole book, which I thought was adorable. You know, if you want something a little more spicier, this not it. But if you kind of, there has to be a balance with that, because I've read some books where it's like, what was the purpose? Was this just, did I just like grab this is just porn literature? Or was there a story that was supposed to be somehow in this book? But anyway, I love this story so very much. I thought it was key. It's the perfect balance. So of course, as with any good story, there's going to be some opposition. So as I mentioned, Araya has people in this town who have always known her, and they think that she is, you know, a dud. They don't think she's someone to be concerned about. But as the competition, which let me get into that, goes on, they would find out she may be a force to be reckoned with. So the competition, again, is this basically this land that has this magical garden. It's vast, and it's owned by one person. And this older man is, although they note that he moves not so much like an older man, but anyway, he's an older man who wants to retire. So in the magical world, all over, people rely on the plants for herbal remedies, for potions and things of that nature that come from his garden. He has exotic things from all over the world. It's magic, so they can build a greenhouse that imitates the ocean. You know, so when you walk in, you feel like you're at the ocean and whatever grows there, or in an Arctic place. So these greenhouses house these, like, it's not a portal because they explain that, but it's mimicking where these plants originally grew. And there's 24, we realize there's over 700 different species of plants and flowers on this land, and there's 24 greenhouses. So crazy, right? So there's several people competing. I think it's like 12, 10 or 12, 8. I'm trying to remember how many people. I think it was like 8 or 10 people in the competition, including Callan and Aria. So they go to the first day. She finally goes. She gets talked into it and realizes there's a lot at stake. This is a kind of a big deal because her grandmother, which is her shop as well as the family shop, it depends on the herbs, the plants they get from this garden, this massive garden. And people come from all over the world to her grandmother's shop. Her grandmother's been manning the shop while she was in London, but now she's back. So, you know, she's like, I gotta do something. So one thing she can do early on in this book, because the key word was all her house plants that she had, that was the ding, ding, ding for me. I look for clues when I read books like this. And she realizes she's really good with plants. Well, in a competition to win a garden, a massive garden, and be able to maintain said garden, and the owner of that garden only wants the one who can do that, who can maintain it, well, that's going to be a great skill to have, that you can talk, or she doesn't realize she can talk to plants, but that's exactly what she's doing. I know people in real life that can do that. My mother is one of them, and so is my sister. They definitely have that ability to communicate and talk with plants, and it's like they just have a sixth sense of what's needed and things like that. One of the things that I had to overcome was this idea that I couldn't do that, or that wasn't my thing. Because whenever I would make something die if I did it, or, you know, I would say, I mean, even as of in the last year or so, I would say things like, I just can't seem to plant from anything from seed. It just doesn't work for me. Well, I'm casting a spell, right? Y'all are all practitioners most likely, so you understand when you talk like that, when you think like that, then it is so. No, you don't have income. No, you can't grow anything. Because that's what you keep claiming. That's what you tell the universe. That's what you declare. So no, it's not going to work for you. So things like that, by the way, you have to be very careful of. You think you're being a realist. You think you're being just facing the facts of what a situation is, when you're speaking that over your life, we have more control over our lives than we want to give ourselves credit for. Yes, there's systems in place and things like that that we kind of have to work within. The law, corporations, capitalism, government, unfortunately still patriarchy, but here we are. We fight up against it. The goal is to break down that wall. But anyway, but we do have some control, right? So once I stop thinking like that, kind of identify with the character in the book. Once you start thinking of possibilities as opposed to what can't or what hasn't worked before, so therefore it can't work going forward. And it definitely can't work right now in the present because it never worked before. As I'm surrounded by a bunch of houseplants, herbs that I grew from seeds sitting in my windowsill, seeds that I still need to plant and put in another set of window seals all around my home, to truly go all in. The air in here is about to be impeccable, by the way, when I'm done. Anyway, it's already on its way with all my plants. But anyway, knowing how I used to think and knowing what I'm physically is my facts, the reality in front of me is, well, that's just not true. And if I do struggle, and if it's something I don't understand, I find out, like, get help. I download an app. I, see what the problem is with the plan, or I ask people. I read a book. I find out the solution. I don't just give up and say, oh, I'm just not good with this. It's just not my thing. It could be my thing. Maybe for them, like witchcraft and different abilities that we might have as witches. For some of us, some things do seem to just come more natural. Let's just be honest. Those psychic abilities, empaths, those who can divine, different mechanisms of how, different tools they use to divine. I don't know any witches personally who can move things with their mind. Let me know when you meet them, because I want to meet them too. Let's be friends. But I haven't run across that witch yet. But powerful manifestors, things move, not necessarily physical matter in the way that you would think, but they can make things move. They can make things happen. Love witches who are just romance, love, passion, sex, all that. Like, they got it on lock. They have an energy about them. They don't just have the ability with themselves. They can actually influence others. Yeah. All type. Then we get into the fire witches and all that sort of stuff, where there's just certain things that just feels innate. They're not trying, it's just there. It doesn't mean that you that one time let me give something a better example. Here's a good one. As cottage witch. So I'm a cottage witch, right? Being a cottage witch, I kind of got my hands in a couple different things, whether it's being a kitchen witch, whether it's being a green witch, and a little folk magic as well. So if I struggle with cooking, like for years, I wasn't doing a lot of the cooking in my house. I wasn't the one responsible for that. So I hadn't been doing, if you don't do something in a while and you try to go do it, like, you have a couple dishes in your arsenal, but like, it's muscle memory. Like, you're not doing it enough. So when I decided I needed to start cooking more, and because I was gonna be the one cooking my meals, I actually went and got HelloFresh, and I had a food system, and I just followed the directions and did it. It was like a crutch a little bit for me, because I hadn't been cooking as much. But doing that kind of got me in the rhythm of things and the sauces and flavor profiles and things like that, where I felt like I didn't need to invest in that anymore. I could just create these dishes for myself. And then once I have the technical aspects down back again, then I was able to bring in the magical influence on top of that as a kitchen witch. So it's a skill, not necessarily a talent. Looking at tarot cards, it's not necessarily, for some people, it seems like a talent. And maybe it is, but it doesn't mean for you it's not a skill that you can learn. Now, I think the limitations we all have is based on us. In the same way I used to talk for years to myself that I couldn't do something, it wasn't going to work for me, that only worked for other people. You know what? That could be you too. Gratefully, I moved past that. But in this book, it's cutesy. It's nice. It's not too cutesy, but it's a good book. But I like the fact that the author kind of, we watch this inner struggle that the character is having, Arya, where, I mean, if your whole life you thought you just didn't have it, everybody else around you had it, but you didn't have it, this thing that was so innate, was just, something that they were born with, and children were doing it. And for some reason, you couldn't do this thing. And this thing being, being a witch, being a witchcraft with a control of her power. So yeah, you believe that. There's a lot of undoing. You have to shed that. And we watch her kind of struggle through the competition, through the romance building between her and Callan, her interactions with her best friend and her grandmother and other people who love to support her, including the owner of the massive garden, magical garden. What I think they call it, botanical something. I forgot the name of it, but anyway, she needed to come to that, and I feel like that's something true for a lot of people, where you really kind of underplay what you really can do. I have to be very careful even now. I'm mindful. I'm much more mindful now about doing that with myself. And then I remember things like, things I know to be true. I've come across people who have been in power, who run, businesses, and they run, multi-businesses, and they have employees and people under them, and they're not that smart. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. They're not that, they're not that smart. They're not. And people say, oh, they're a visionary. No, the people under them are really doing all the work, and they're putting together, all the details, and they're just sort of at the top saying, yes, I'm the visionary because I employ these people. Very Trump-like. I'm surrounded by all the best people. But that was my Trump. Anyway, I'm off point. But anyway, I see I'm giddy with this. But what I will say is that reading this kind of reignited some stuff with me. So I've been reading this all week, finishing this up. I started last week, but I don't know what happened. Because I'm still reading another book on top of it. But anyway, I finished up this week, by the end of this week. And then I started taking a course as well. It's a witchcraft course. So that's like, I love when things like fiction and then this other thing and this other stuff and readings and all that sort of stuff all sort of combine. And then I'm like, holy crap, like this is all coming together. Like it's all one big message for me. So this book was a nice, gentle reminder to not doubt myself. Don't downplay my skills, don't downplay my talents. And and to just know, even if you're afraid, do it anyway. That's something I try to keep in mind, but even as you would think it gets easier as you get older, but not necessarily, because when you get older, you realize just how much more you have at stake. I heard myself recently saying, well, I don't want to, it was about something, but someone was like, oh, well, why don't you do this? And I was like, I can't take that kind of chance. I don't have it in me to start from scratch again if I have to, if everything, fails, or if everything goes left. And I'm like, wait, why did I say that? Why would I speak so negative about something? I hadn't even done it yet. Like, why would I assume it's all gonna fail? Like but that naturally just came out. And by the way, no one saw anything wrong with what I said. They just received that information. But that's something I continuously have to work on with myself. But let me think, what else did I want to talk about? The potions, oh my God, I talk about potions. I love about how they talked about it, how they talked about the magical system there. I love that some things were hidden in plain sight to the humans. And I love the way they introduce like flora and fauna and animals that don't exist. But in this world they did. It just seems so believable. Lindsay Hall is intelligent author because she presented in a way that felt very real. Um, there was these dream weavers. They're like some sort of take on a butterfly, and then there's I thought it said piglet, but it's like it's something else. But they're magical creatures, and there's all these different types of magical creatures. And unlike Harry Potter, which to me sometimes all the descriptions and this other world, to me you need some sort of like handbook to understand everything. If you didn't, if you're really a fan, maybe you just learned it by reading all the books and watching the movies. But if you didn't do that, it's like you need I don't know, some sort of aid to go along to understand what is that? What are they talking about? I felt like it was effortless. I understood it immediately. I love this book so much, I cannot wait to read the next one. That's how much I love this book. So, as you can see, I got my Halloween shirt on, big trick energy. I am in full swing of Halloween. I tried to wait till no, I didn't. I didn't try. I knew I wasn't gonna wait till September 1st because I don't want to. I realized that one of the reasons I absolutely adore setting up, doing all this sort of stuff is because it really soothes my inner child. It really makes me just feel happy. And I like doing things that make me happy. I like doing things that bring that joy and that sense of wonder out in me. It makes me a better person. It definitely makes me a better witch. I'm much better at doing witchcraft. When I'm kind of a little, what I guess most people would say, oh, she's coming across a little delusional. Yeah, that works for me. But here's the thing about being a little bit on the delulu side, is that it's working. You would have me if I was doing all this stuff and none of it worked, but it's working. So yeah, my magic is working. I do want to show a couple things. I realized I left the other thing across the room that I did pick up. I went back over to Michael's. They gave me another reward voucher, and I was like, all right, let me just go over there real quick and get this. Plus I had a 40% off coupon. So these are candles that they have right now. I've already burnt it. I actually burnt it today. I love this. It's like that crackling sound, but it's definitely from the Halloween collection with the heart. I love this. Love this so much. I like how it's kind of like rough a little bit. It's smooth, but like it's supposed to give kind of like this handmade thing. So, and it smells so very good. It's kind of like woodsy scent to it, but a little bit of perfume. It smells like men's cologne. It smells divine, by the way. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and light this up. I had this one earlier. I think we're ready to revisit it. I know I'm ready to revisit it. And then I had to get this other thing. Let me grab it. So this is at Michael's. This was original price. They're gonna ban you from Michael's. No, I'm not gonna tell you after my excursion in the week. They gave me another $5 voucher. I'm trying to keep it together. Oh, I'm trying, because you would think, what you gonna get for $5? Don't worry about that. I'll make it work. Between that and a 40% coupon, look, because this stuff came up. I saved about, how much did I save? I don't know. I remember waiting to the end because I wanted to see that total drop down. And it was like 70 something, and it dropped down to like, what did I spend, like 50 something? Like 50, so it was like almost $80. And I ended up spending like 50, so that made me excited. But anyway, check this out. So, me being who I am, I saw this and I wanted this in my house. This is not from like the tiny village. This is just something, because that other stuff is more expensive. It doesn't make any noise or do anything, but I wanted to have this for my Halloween collection. So look at the back, you see how it's damaged? So I said, oh, they had two other ones that were not damaged. But I know you can get money taken off. So I got money taken off. They took extra percentage off on top of this. So altogether 50% off, because they took 10% off of this, plus 40% off. So what was $30 was 15. Because I got this for 15 bucks at Michael's. I love this. I think this is so adorable. I love the details. If you can see, the details are pretty cool. You got the cat, the ghost, pumpkins. It's just cute. I just love this so much. So yeah. So that was my additional purchases that I had to go back and get. So I do want to go back. It is cute, right? Thank you. For 15 bucks, keep in mind, I got 40, I had a 40% off coupon, and then they took 10% off on top of that. So it was 50% off. So I was like, yeah, this is gonna happen. And that candle smells so good. So that was gonna happen. Plus I had the $15 voucher. I did something else. I just don't know where I put it, what it was. Because I know I left for a couple different things. I have since, I don't know what I did. Then I went over to Bath and Body Works and I got some of their candles as well because I brought out all my, last year and this year, the candle holders. So I was like, I need to go actually get some Halloween inspired spooky looking candles and scents. It's more about like this year at Bath and Body Works. Let's say you don't love this scent. You can just have it out for display because those jars are really cute. The lids, like I'm not gonna throw them away. I'm gonna keep them. I want to get into making my own candles anyway. Even if it's like the old Dollar Tree trick where you take the Dollar Tree candles and you know melt them down. You can add a different scent to them, and then you pour them into something new. If it comes to that, otherwise I'll try to make something myself. I'm trying to remember what else I went back and got. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm looking around now to see what's on the shelf. I don't know, but I did start putting up, like this is Halloween, my covers. I brought these with the intention of putting my covers on them, and I can't find my covers from Halloween from last year, because I don't want white pillows, because that's dangerous for me. It's dangerous. It's dangerous, I'll just say that. So they've lasted this long without too much mess, but I usually keep it, like if I'm over here, I usually put this on the other side, because I eat sitting down at this, on my couch, and drink, me and my daughter. So between us both, we will destroy these. Oh, somebody's beeping a horn. But anyway, I love having my Halloween decorations up. So I started putting them up, and so far so good. Last night was the first night. Like I have lights and everything going on. So I have the lights on. I turn the things on that turn on and light up and do stuff, just to kind of get an idea. And I like what I have so far. I'm not going to put anything outside until next month, because I realize for some people they think it's too early. White pillows are dangerous for me too. I have a man and cats. There you go. Like I got these at Joann Fabrics. They were marked down like a lot. That's why I got them. I took the tag off, but they were like really cheap. I think I got these for like 12 bucks. That's why I got them. And I knew I was always gonna cover them, so I didn't care. They had a bunch of them in the back. It was like part of the summer collection at Joann Fabrics. And I was like, 12 bucks. I don't know if you noticed, pillows are now like $30. Like once upon a time they were like $10 and you get like 2 for something. But like if you want a fluffy pillow like this, they want to charge you like 30 bucks, $29.99, maybe $24.99 for one pillow. So getting it for 12 bucks, I made sure I got those. So I may just order some more pillow covers. I got them from Amazon. And they fit. They have good selections of different prints, and they're really cute, and they have funny sayings or Halloween sayings on them. Right, yeah, pillows are crazy expensive. I can't. And I still have fall pillows as well that I think I might set some up at the dining room table, because I want to use those. I don't know, I'm starting to figure it out. I realistically can only have so many pillows on this couch. It's not deep enough where I can have a bunch of pillows. I mean, I can do whatever I want, but we'll see where that goes. I might get crazy, be one of those women with way too many pillows on their couch and bed. And I put them on my bed too. I'm working it out. But anyway, but yeah, I'm slowly but surely changing this into a very Halloween themed house. Um, I added some additional lights. I'm gonna add some more. It's like I'm taking my time with it bit by bit. My goal is to be done inside decorating by the end of this month. I talked about this before. Then I'll be doing a Halloween tour, like if not by the end of this month, like first thing in September, and then because then I'll have the outside decorations on as well. I don't know if I'll do that on one thing. I did that last year because I want to focus on the outside. I'm like, okay, well, I got to stop inside because I want to shift gears. I have some stuff I'm going to do from last year, but there's some new cool stuff that I want to add. I did last year's theme outside was the witch, the flying witch, very Sanderson, you know, hocus pocus esque. So I'm bringing some of those elements out because I've only had them for a year, since 1 year Halloween, and I'm gonna bring some more stuff out. But I want to zhuzh it up, add a little bit more. We also have a contest in my neighborhood for best decorated house, fall or Halloween themed, and I haven't won yet. There is a home here who I don't know who these people are. I don't know what their lives are, but I think they come from California, and I think they were involved in like the movie industry. And so, because they have like horror movie theme, like they have things that are not something just average folks would have for Halloween decorations, like the details, and it's a lot. Like they have a gigantic skeleton that's almost the size of a telephone pole, and these are nice quaint cottage homes, so all their decorations are massive. They're on a corner lot, so they can expand all around, and they have like clowns, figures, like they look like, you know, real life things. It is terrifying coming through there at night, by the way. I would not walk by there on foot because you would not convince me that one of those things won't come to life and come to kill me. Don't do clowns. Not my favorite. Yeah, they got a lot of scary stuff, so they always win. They always win. 1 year I tried to go fall and do the cutesy fall stuff. That didn't compete. Last year I said I'm gonna do the Halloween stuff, and I've not won. I've not come in second place either. I want to win, or at least place. Like I'll take third. I want to get there. So I need to start focusing on the outside. Yes, I am very competitive. Once upon a again, another thing I used to tell myself that I'm not a competitive person. You know, I'm an Aries sun sign. I can't help but be competitive. I don't know how not to be. Even when I'm thinking I'm not, I realize that's such a default for me. I don't even recognize it, but I'm 100% competitive. Um, yeah, I want to win. The difference is if I don't win, I don't like freak out. I'm not overly emotional. I'm not angry and go crazy. I just feel it's more like I want to analyze and understand where I went wrong and how we can fix it. Yeah, I remember that Empress Gothia, your Aries as well. It's like, we'll say, oh, I mean, I'm not really competitive. It's got to be something you care about. Well, I care about Halloween, so guess what? I want to win. And I'm going to see if I can win this year. So I want to get more stuff outside because I'm competing against someone who I truly believe they have to be in some sort of like behind the scenes production for the amount of items and the quality that they have. Like it's top tier. And it's top, they've turned their entire garage and driveway into some sort of monster show, along with the stuff on the porch, on the house, around the house, the gigantic skeleton thing looming over. Like it's ridiculous. Yeah, that's what I'm competing against. No one else is on that level. So I'm thinking I want to get the witches' hats and attach them to the ceiling on my porch and just having those hanging down. I'm thinking about having like the bat thing on the house, you know, the little paper things, you know, like they flying. Then I can do the flying witches as well. So it's kind of tying in the concept of flying and witches, and get some more items and, you know, scary pumpkins. I have pumpkins, but like more scary ones in there too. More lights. And probably something That's just the porch. I'm trying to figure out, do you decorate with lights in a way you do Christmas, like in a tree with Halloween lights? I don't have this all worked out yet. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know, but I got a lot of ideas, if you can tell. And I get really excited about Halloween stuff. It's up there with Christmas. Honestly, I'm kind of at the point now. I feel like my house is gonna be Halloween or Christmas themed, aka Yule. Like those are gonna be if you come in my house, no matter what time of year. Oh, so for 6 months it's Halloween, and for the other 6 months or so it's Christmas. Because those, I love the lights, I love decorating, I love that sort of stuff. Oh, Miss Weeks, hi. um, but I love that so much. So I just want to kind of watching from Memphis. Hey, how you doing? Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee. Right? Yeah. I like Tennessee. I like Tennessee at this time of year in the summertime, and like early parts of fall. I like it. After that, I don't want to live there, but I like it then. That's my favorite. One, you can walk outside, and yeah, I like that. But anyway, it is hot outside. You said it's hot out. Closer to fall, when it's really nice outside, and yeah, you can kind of get out and explore. And to me, like I remember there was like this peak moment. I don't know how long that moment lasts, but where it feels nice. You can go out. You want to be outside. It's nice, but then it's not. One of the perks of living in Arizona is that I get that peak weather a lot longer. Now, I am boiling. It is, or I should say more being cooked alive outside. It's only 104 degrees today, and I know that sounds like madness. It is only 104. Let me tell you why that's important. We were having 117 degree days. 117 degrees is a real crazy number. You feel like you're being cooked. The sun on your skin, it hurts you. I don't care how much melanin you have or don't have, it hurts. You have sunblock on, you're burning, like it hurts. To have you burn yourself trying to open your car door. Businesses, they have to put stuff on the door handles because you can get burns if you try to walk outside. For all people with pools and stuff like that, if you want to go cool off in the pool, one, the water is hot, so let that go. Hot. Also, the water that comes out the faucet here is never cold. In the summertime, it is lukewarm at best, but it's feeling very bath waterous, like cold water. There's no cold water. I made a horrific mistake. I had some plants outside, and I turned my faucet on outside with the hose, and I sprayed it a little bit, and then just started spraying, and I saw steam. The water was hot. It wasn't warm, it was hot. So that was not a good thing, and I messed some stuff up because they were seedlings that were outside. But you know what? The sun did the rest of the damage, so I boiled them, and then the sun fried them. So 104 is pleasant. Is it hot? Yes, but it's pleasant compared to. I'm gonna be honest. Once you get past 105, 108. 108 is uncomfortable, but like 110, when you get in those numbers, it's like you can't be outside. If you go into the store, you trying to hurry up, go in and out. It feels like the oven on 450. That's the best way to explain. You put your hand in the oven, how it feels real hot like that. Your whole body, you're immersed in it. You looking around for comfort. You turn your car on before you get to it. You let the car cool down. You try to park close to the store, to the door, so you can get in. But that was July. July was like 30 days of like 115, like crazy numbers. It was like over 110 degrees every day. It's crazy when it's at night, and because it's been so hot all day, that heat didn't just go away. So you think it was gonna cool down. Yeah, it's still like 110, 105 or 110 degrees at like 11 p.m. You can't. Push button becomes, or remote start. Yes, definitely remote start. But just to sort of recap, Lindsay Hall, this is a real 106 now. Yeah, I can function in 106. It's hot, but like, I went to the store earlier. I had to run into Target. Normally, by the way, in the month of July, I did not go in anybody's store like that for like food shopping. Instead, I let them do the pickup, which is free. And they put the stuff in my car and I came home. So I only had to worry about taking stuff out of the car. And where I'm taking the stuff out of the car is relatively shaded. My driveway, so I just walk on my porch and it's shaded. So it's not so bad. But I knew I didn't want to do that walk with the cart to the car in the hot sun and have to take I did that today and it was bearable at 105. But anyway, so she has done an excellent job, Lindsay Hall, in the Modern Girl's Guide to Magic, of making characters believable, making the magical system that she created believable. At no point did I feel like, oh, I felt like, oh, is that a thing? Oh, I wonder if there's something like in a real, like in my world, that's something like this. She made it modern in the way that the characters were very modern. I felt like it, yeah, it was set in another place, another town, but in this time, it felt relatable. The character was in her late 20s or mid to late 20s. I didn't feel like me reading this that I couldn't identify, or she was just like too silly or too, sometimes that happens with some of these books where it's like, all right, you're making this character unbelievably unlikable to the point like no one is this like inept or this, with that much low self-esteem. I love that even in this book, the main character, she kind of speaks down on herself, her magic really. And then her best friend says to her, yeah, we need to work on your self-esteem. Like, that was the immediate response to that. And I was like, thank you. Let's acknowledge that you shouldn't be talking down on yourself like this. Like, nobody was letting this girl just like stay in a space. And it was just second nature for her to speak down on herself because of all the stuff that she had been through growing up, of not being able to, at least she didn't think her magic was powerful. She thought it was wonky, or as she was called, a dud. So she got a chance to, one, prove to herself, most importantly, that there's more to it than that. She just needed to discover the type, hint, spoiler, the type of witch she was. The other witches, and I'm going to get into that, but the other witches had the ability to pull from the ethers. That's how they describe it. They pull their magic from the ethers. So if I want to turn my hair a different color, I'm pulling from the ethers this power in order to do so. So I have the intent, but I'm getting the power from the ethers. Where she doesn't do that. So that's the way she was taught, because like 90% of the witches in the world do it that way. But there's a small percentage of witches who don't do that. They have a different type of magic and their source is different. So it's something to think about. In our real world, our current world that we live in, do you think that you have something? Maybe do you think, why doesn't this spell work for me, or why does it take things so long for me to work, or whatever the situation is? I started thinking about that more, like, so what source are you pulling from? What works for you? That's why I love doing what I'm doing, helping people discover the type of witchcraft. And now I know a lot of people don't like labels and things like that, but it can help you if you have some sort of path. You can always bridge out and expand, but having that foundational, it took me a minute to figure out. I used to just say I was an eclectic witch for years because I didn't know what else to call myself or how else to identify, but now of course I understand. I'm definitely a cottage witch. I recently did a reading, actually in this course that I'm taking. They gave me the spread, but I did a reading for myself, which affirmed that I'm a cottage witch. Not that I had any questions about that. That wasn't even what I was asking. But basically, I just it explained all of that. And that's me. That's and because of that, because that's my foundation, I can always reach out, look into other magical systems, but I always have a home. I take that knowledge and I have a place to sit it all. I have a place to store that amongst my foundation. The problem, I will say this, with calling yourself an eclectic witch and kind of never really building a foundation for where you put all of that you learn, is that it constantly feels like you're always Oh, I mean, I was doing this time. I was really into, dragon magic. Then I was really into fairies, and then I was really into the esoteric stuff, and then I was really into hoodoo, and then I was. And it's like, first of all, you were just learning, so there's nothing wrong with all those things. But if you don't have a place to sort of take that and start picking apart what makes sense, maybe what you want to keep over here, and what you can add to your practice, it kind of just feels like you're all over the place all the time. And most of us don't like to feel like that. So I think for some people who kind of fall out of love with practicing as a witch, or just feel like it's not doing it for them anymore, I would strongly suggest maybe finding out what is your foundation, like where do you sit, where's your spot. Mine is cottage witchery. It's not limiting because I can always expand from there, but I know that's where I'm at. So all the things that I learned, I use them in my cottage witch practice. Um, Elemental magic, use it in my cottage magic. Dragons, learning about dragonology and understanding all of that, and learning certain archetypes. For instance, I work with Hecate, and understanding where she fits in with the concept of dragon magic and stuff like that. That's been an interesting discovery. And I work with Hecate specifically within a home. So that's a whole other kind of connection for me there. So that ties to the fire element, which comforts me. Hearth and home. So the hearth, typically there's a fire element. Electricity is fire. And, having all those things going, candles and things, that brings me comfort, that makes me feel stable, confident. If I feel stable and confident, I'm a better spellcaster, I'm a better card reader, I'm a better overall witch. So you see how that all kind of connects. But because I realized I am in fact a cottage witch, and that's kind of where I sit, then I can build on that. So that book made me think about all that sort of stuff. And that's what I love about a good witchy fiction novel, is I want to walk away with something. I want to walk away with ideas. Reading this got me thinking about potions, and what new potions do I want to put together. Coming up for fall, coming into this new season, and that's anything from things that I ingest to things that just for my body, or things that never actually make contact with me, but I do something else with. But yeah, I like that. That's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it worth my while when I'm reading books like that. I love a good story, but I love an even better story that gives me something I'm leaving with something. So I'm really looking forward to reading the next book in this series. And I have another book that I'm going to do. So fiction is about to be abound for a moment, and I'll throw in some nonfiction as well. And of course, I would like to tell you, I will not go get any more Halloween decor items. I want to tell you that. But see, I still haven't really went to Ross, and I heard they got some cute stuff. Marshalls. I've been at TJ Maxx. They have some cute stuff. Big Lots. And I did not go to the in Target where they might have Halloween decor. I didn't go look over there. So there's still that. And yeah, we'll see where this goes. All right, so I'm gonna end it here. I know, same thing. Priscilla, this way, I can't tell you where this is gonna stop. My goal is to wrap this up by the end of this month, but a lot can happen between now and then, and I'll be happy to share it, because who else am I gonna tell and be just crazy about Halloween decorations but y'all? All right, so thank y'all for watching. I strongly suggest, if you're looking for a good read, with a hint of spice, just a little hint. It's not too spicy with sex stuff. Just a little bit. To keep it interesting for the grown folks, this is the one. This is a good book. All right, I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Please hit the like, it works here for me. When you do that, I appreciate it. And subscribe if you haven't already. Consider hitting the join button if you want to join the Leap Taken membership. That's like Patreon. They get members only videos, as well as other perks. So go ahead and click on that if you would like to join and support me. I'd appreciate that. Head over to leaptaken.com. That's my website. There's links in the description, of course, to look at the services that I offer if you're interested in that as well. And the link for the book is also in the description. All right, now I'm done. All right, bye. Have a good day, everybody.